Welcome to ProPractice, your guide to refine, enliven, and illuminate the piano repertoire. I'm Josh Wright, and today's episode will be discussing the Minuet in A minor Z.649 by Henry Purcell, an English composer from the Baroque era. It goes like this. And we're going to be discussing ways that you can not only master notes and rhythm and some suggestions for voicing, but also some ideas for dynamics as well as ornamentation. One of the great things that you can do in Baroque and classical music, and especially Baroque music, is highly ornamented textures. What I mean by that is it would be kind of silly in Chopin's music to add a bunch of different trills or turns, but it was commonplace in that era because they were so heavily taught in the art of improvisation that you could add extra things like mordents or trills or turns, or you could do something like that. So it's really up to you what you want to do, but I'm going to be going over some suggestions today that can give you some ideas. We're not going to overly do it, where it's every single bar, once or twice per bar, because then it gets a little bit obnoxious, but we'll choose some strategic places to put those ornaments. But before we get to that, let's just go over the basics. What I want you to do is, if you're watching this video and you're wanting to learn this piece, you're probably somewhere in the late beginner, maybe early intermediate stage, and I want you to master your counting as you go through this, okay? So we're in 3/4 time. So we have 3 beats per measure, the quarter note or the crotchet if you're in England or one of the other countries that does not say quarter notes or eighth notes. That gets 1 beat. So basically, I think I'm going to count for the quaver or the eighth note here, 1 and 2 and 3 and. There's no need to count for the 16th note, like 1 e and a 2 e and a, because I don't see any 16th notes besides this in that measure, and it's not worth counting an entire piece for 2 16th notes. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and in each measure. We're just going to take the first 8 bars. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1. Now, you might be thinking, Josh, why are you disconnecting these and then playing these smooth? A lot of this has to do with the improvisatory nature of the piece as well. You can definitely disconnect those, and then if you want to connect from there to there, you can, or you can hop all those. You could keep hopping. That sounds wonderful too. Or you could go, or you could do, that's probably my least favorite one, because it kind of sounds tired, that B repeating. So I kind of like a little bit of charm, and those staccatos can add a bit of that charm. So, or, okay. Now let's try left hand. 1 3 2 4. Now you can do, this is actually somewhat tricky fingering. I like to create a totally legato texture, totally smooth. So it's going to require, if you're not going to use pedal, which I probably wouldn't, I'd be doing some substitute fingering there. So 1 3 4 2 5 3, and then I just kind of substitute my 1 3. So I have 5 3 down here, and then I replace it with thumb and third finger, and then I go to 4 2 there. That also sets me up nicely for the next line. 5 2 1 5 1 4 4 1 5, and then you can use either, if you've got big hands, 1 2 5. I have big hands. I still wouldn't do that fingering. I'd go 2 1 5 rather than 1 2 5 and having that huge awkward stretch. I'd probably go 2 1 5. Okay, one more time on that fingering just to make sure you guys are clear. 1 3 4 2 5 3 to 1 3 4 2 5 2 1 5, 1, 4, 2, and then if you want to, you could just substitute a 1 on that 2. So go to 2, substitute with 1, go down to 5, 2, 1, 5. Okay? A little tricky actually, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. And again, I start a lot of my students with this as their first repertoire piece once they've got through a method book. One method book I really like is the Faber Piano Adventures Adult All-in-One course. It's just 2 books. They're each about 150 to 200 pages. Really great books that teach you the foundation. And usually about halfway through book 1 or towards the end of book 1, I'll start giving them pieces like this after they start to get some of the foundational elements of their piano playing under their belt. Okay? Now let's go really slowly. One of the tricky things here is to know how long to hold that left hand. So that's a half note. So that half note keeps holding. And then I tie the D, then I connect the D to the C. Substitute finger. And then I let go of everything. That can be really tricky. Even I have to really focus, even after all these years of playing. Without having practiced this, I'm just kind of sight reading right now. I've taught it quite a few times. But making sure that you hold them the correct value is very important. Right there, again, another mistake that's easy to fall into is letting go of that. Hold that through, and then when you come off to here, okay? That is how I would first approach learning the notes and the values. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about dynamics and voicing. First of all, with voice,